Welcome back to the channel. Get ready with me and mythology. Today we're going to do part 2 of Greek mythology. And we're getting ready for work because I have meetings today. 2 of them. Anyway, welcome to the video. Cue the music. This is actually part 2. If you haven't seen part 1, hold on a second. If you haven't seen part 1, go and watch that. Today we're going to be covering some of the more well-known gods and goddesses. We're going to get into some mythology and symbolism for y'all. So this week I had the absolute privilege of being, as far as I'm aware, a muse for the very first time in my life. Frances Wren, they are a phenomenal artist, reached out to me, and they are doing a mythos twisted. Sorry, I can't remember the name. But anyway, they're basically taking traditional characters from ancient mythologies, at the moment Greek mythology, and twisting them while still maintaining the essence of the symbols. So anyway, it's absolutely freaking awesome. They asked me if I could be their muse for an irreverent Athena, and I was like, this is absolutely the coolest thing anyone's asked me. I just wanted to, I can't actually remember, I think in the last video I was more like talking you through the background of ancient Greek mythology, how there's the different, I mean, far out. The family tree is like messy. So yeah, today I'm gonna go through some more of the commonly worshipped, commonly talked about, commonly referred to gods and goddesses, and maybe get a little bit more into the symbolism and the way that they were worshipped back in ancient Greece. Please like and subscribe. I would love that so many much. It helps my wee little channel grow and helps tell YouTube, hey, people want to see this stuff. Okay, so we're going to start today not actually with Athena. We're going to start with Apollo. So Apollo was portrayed as a male, and typically he would be presented nude, with a cape on and with, it's not a harp, it's, what is it called? It looks like a mini harp. I freaking can't remember the name. Lyre. L-Y-R-E, lyre, that's what it's called. It's a musical instrument. So he was, he had power over pretty much everything in life. So he was like a very central figure. And he was the patron of archers, like bow and arrow, you know. His bow brought pain to humans, but at the same time, he was also the god of healing and the father to the mythical physician Asclepius. So he was the god of music and arts, as well as a lot of other stuff. The son of Zeus and Leto. Remember, this is like, we're now, if you've seen video 1, we're like the next generation down, basically. Apollo was also worshipped as the god of light and sun. So, you know, he's kind of an all-round, he's an all-round bloke. So yeah, he holds this lyre, which is a musical, it's like a, yeah, like I said, a mini harp. So once when Apollo went on a journey in pursuit of one of his lovers, he left his fine herd of cattle unattended. Hermes, who is the he's the messenger god, so he's typically portrayed with like wings on his feet, but he's also a bit of a trickster. Like he was known to like mess with the gods kind of thing, but like the gods tolerated him because he was like the class clown of the gods, you know. Apollo, who had the gift of prophecy, Hermes had admired these cows, right? And he wanted to steal them and hide them in a cave. But Apollo had the gift of prophecy, so he knew exactly where the cattle were and where to find them, and where to find Hermes and demand that he put that thing back where it came from. So Hermes began playing an instrument that he had created from one of the intestines of Apollo's cattle, and Apollo was enchanted on hearing the music of the lyre, the intestine lyre that Hermes had created, and agreed that, hey, you know what? If you give me that intestine instrument, you can have the cattle. And so they traded, and that's how he got his musical instrument. I didn't say that this was not going to be gory, okay? These are not my stories. All right, so another important story with Apollo, when Apollo was, is the story of Apollo and Daphne. So Apollo scorned the archery skills of Eros. Now, Eros was the son of Aphrodite, and so he was very beautiful to behold, and also the son of Ares, so he was very mischief, similar in a way to Hermes, but he typically was depicted with, like, he was a good archer, he had wings, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, Apollo was like, Eros, I'm jealous of your skills, you know, as an archer. So, oh, did I say that Eros was the god of love? I mean, similar to Aphrodite, you know what I mean? It's Aphrodite's son, so. So anyway, Apollo wanted to take revenge on Eros because he was so good at archery. So he shot him with an arrow. It was a gold-headed arrow to make him fall in love, to make Eros fall in love. I don't really understand. Anyway, but shot the object of his desire, Daphne. Okay, so he wanted to. Anyway, he shot Daphne with the golden arrow to make them fall in love with him. So anyway, because Apollo shot Daphne, he falls in love with Daphne, but Daphne's like, F you, man, and runs off. So yeah, anyway, she rejects him and Apollo chases Daphne, but she would not give in to him. And as she ran, she prayed to Zeus to be transformed into something that would save her from Apollo. And then Apollo turned her into a laurel tree, which is, well, it's a tree. She got turned into a tree. Anyway, so people like make wreaths. You know how in ancient Greek mythology, a lot of the time they're wearing wreaths from a laurel tree? Yeah, well, that's that. Weird. I would rather, I don't know, whatever, Daphne, do what you want. Okay, now here's another story. Apollo and Delphi. So when Zeus's wife Hera, who we covered last session, found out that her husband had an affair with Leto, you know, one of many, she decided to take revenge on Leto, obviously, because that's just what she did. She decided to send a great serpent known as the Python to attack her. So the snake lurked around the great peak of Mount Parnassus and laid waste the area of Delphi. Apollo killed the serpent with his bow and arrows, given to him by, I can never say his name right, Hephaestus, the divine craftsman. afterwards, Delphi became sacred to Apollo because he saved her, and his shrine was built there. The Pythian Games were held there every 4 years to commemorate Apollo's triumph over the Python, and Apollo has been associated with Delphi ever since. The activity at the game included pottery, music competitions, and several athletic events. So there you have it. He shot the Python dead. Right, moving on from Apollo, let's talk about Dionysus. Anyway, that's how I say it. Live with it. He was the god of wine. An interesting god, let's just say that. He was an anarchic figure. So he basically presided over people's intoxication or drunkenness, you know. So when, this is the story as it goes. So Zeus, disguised as a mortal, had an affair with Semele, the daughter of King Cadmus and Queen Harmonia of Thebes. His wife, Thera, did her thing, got jealous, and plotted her revenge. She took the form of an old woman and persuaded Semele, to ask the god to appear before her in all his splendor. When he did so, the heat of his thunderbolt killed Semele, who was a mortal. Others, anyway, rescued the unborn child, and that was Dionysus, and took him to Zeus to be born. When Dionysus emerged from Zeus's thigh, Hera was so angry that she incited the Titans to tear the baby into pieces. His grandmother Rhea took pity on Dionysus, put the body back together, and carried him to foster parents. Again, Hera was still pretty pissed, so, you know, they never got on. Anyway, so as he grew up, Dionysus becomes restless. He goes on all these long journeys. He's famous for excessiveness and for kind of like an insane frenzy, I guess, manic phases. This is surely blended by now, is it not? So yeah, anyway, he's the guy, and later on, sort of in Roman times, because obviously Romans adapted a lot of these Greek gods and, you know, turned them into their own whatevers. There would be cults that the cults that worshipped Dionysus with religious orgies. Lovely. So yeah, he became a bigger deal than he was at the beginning, sort of in the Roman Empire, as far as I'm aware. So yeah, that's that. Moving right along to Athena. I've studied a lot about Athena this week, naturally, as I have mentioned at the start of the video. So Athena was the goddess of war. She was a very powerful goddess in the ancient Greek society. They literally named one of the capital polises after her, Athens. So, you know, pretty big deal, Athena girl. So she is, well, in antiquity, was pretty much always depicted with being covered. So she was a very modest and chaste god. She always had her hoplite shield and her spear, so like long-range weapons, which the Greeks, that's how they fought back in that period of time. She was also the patron. She was also known for her extreme wisdom, because she inherited that from her mother Metis, and the attribute made her favor the Odysseus, the wisest and most cunning of the Greek heroes. In all these roles, she's especially valued because she was always accessible. So the people worshipped Athena very much, like a lot, because they believed her to be very accessible to them. So they could ask her for help and whatnot. So the birth of Athena. One of the first loves of the god Zeus was Metis, the very wise Metis. And she was known for, obviously, not only her beauty, but her name literally means cunning intelligence. So Zeus has an affair with her. Sorry, wait, no. She was especially dear to Zeus, but when she became pregnant, Gaia and Uranus, so we're like talking the top dogs, we're like talking right up the primordial food chain, told Zeus that after she had given birth to a daughter, Metis would then have a son, also by Zeus, who would take away all his power. They advised Zeus to act at once to prevent this, so Gaia told Zeus the best way to stop the chain of events was to swallow Metis whole before she gave birth. Zeus did this, but when it was time for Metis' daughter to be born, Hephaestus intervened. Now he was the craftsman god. He split open Zeus's head with an axe, enabling the child to step out. Miraculously, Athena emerged from Zeus's skull, fully armed, uttering a war cry. According to several accounts, Athena was her father's favorite child and the only one allowed to do pretty much anything. Actually, she was like a freaking badass from birth. Let's just put it that way. Now, in Athens, as the myth goes, the gods battled to win the devotion of the people. And Athena won this competition as the goddess of Athens when in competition with Poseidon, she gave the citizens of Athens a valuable gift of the olive tree. The people acknowledged her importance by putting images of her and her sacred bird, the owl, representing wisdom, on their coins. To worship her, they built the Pantheon on the Acropolis above the city, where the contest between Athena and Poseidon was depicted in a sculpture. And this temple also housed massive ivory and gold statues of Athena. So yeah, Poseidon gave them salty water, and they're like, we can't drink this. And then Athena was like, well, here's an olive tree. And they were like, Athena, Athena. Anyway, that's probably not how it went, but. So the other part of Athena is, well, this is a very good story. So Athena was a modest god, like I have kind of mentioned, and she did not like anyone to see her while she bathed. No. But when she was bathing, a man from Thebes was so entranced by her beauty that he followed her and spied on the goddess when she took her clothes off. And she bathed. When Athena realized she was being watched, she climbed out and in her anger hit Tiresias across the eyes, blinding him. So, you know, that's where the chastity stuff comes from. So, you know, you can now see, like, in a depiction of, like, a reverse Athena, showing her chest bare, showing her with weapons that are close range in, like, that seductive pose, is the antithesis, yet that symbolism is still held, and it's absolutely brilliant. I could talk about this piece of art for a very long time, even, yeah, you know. So yes, her symbolism, the owl, was very much a symbol of hers, and also the snake, which was a dual sort of symbol, as it is in most mythological or religious traditions. The serpent is typically always dual in meaning. Hence why I got it tattooed onto my freaking arm, because it sometimes is salvation, and sometimes it's knowledge and wisdom and thought, and sometimes it's a war symbol, and you know, sometimes it's evil, you know. How many times can I say you know in a sentence? So it was very often portrayed on Athena's shield, a large snake, which again had lots of different meanings. It was so people were afraid, but also to represent her wisdom. She was typically displayed with an owl perched on her shoulder as well, and with wearing like a gold helmet. So yeah, she was an extremely important goddess to the Greek people, even in places that weren't Athens too, like Sparta and whatnot, because Sparta literally were a military people through and through. Like literally everything about Sparta was about military, and Athena was the goddess of war. So she also was the goddess of craft as well, the patron of shipbuilding, which if you for a moment come with me and imagine the Greek geographical, like Poseidon was the god of the sea, and he was a very important god to them because they were surrounded by sea. Athena was the goddess of shipbuilding because they needed to get around between polises, which is their city-states. So they needed a way to do that, a way to trade. And so she, in a religious way, oversaw all of that. And her and Poseidon were kind of like tit for tat in that sense, you know? So yeah, that's Athena. And also a little bit more, hopefully you can see, I really hope I can show you. Hopefully you can see the way that Frances has really cleverly used all those symbols in her Athena Irrevent, meaning, yeah, because Athena was a very reverent goddess in Greek times. So to portray her irreverently with still the same layers of meanings, I just think is absolutely brilliant. I also, yeah, can't believe I've been used as a muse. So that's big for me. Okay, a couple more. I actually can't talk while I do eyeliner, so let me do that and then. And last but not least, we have can we take a moment for Artemis? Artemis was the goddess, well, she was the twin sister of Apollo. I forgot to mention that when we were talking about him. So as he was very important, so was she. I mean, there's a lot of gods, a lot of worshipping going on, so you know, everyone gets their own moment. But she was the twin sister of Apollo, and yeah, obviously because she was the twin sister, she was the daughter of Zeus and Leto. And yeah, she was the goddess of the hunt. So she's often portrayed as clothed with what's it called? With arrows in a bag. Not an archer, guys. And typically shown with a deer. That's her like typical representation, I suppose. Now she was also a protector of the patroness of the patroness of the weak. So she protected women, or the weak, if you will. Because back in, you know, Athens, that's how they saw men. So once she sorry, I gotta sneeze. Oh my goodness. Orion tried to R-word her and she killed him. Good on her. I'm pretty sure I've spoken about this on YouTube. I feel like I have said that sentence before. When another hunter, Actaeon, spied on her while she was bathing, she turned him into a stag and he was killed as well. So don't mess with the goddesses, guys. Honestly, like, they're hardcore, frankly. Now I am finished with my mythology for the day. I finished my makeup. Now I need to choose an outfit. I don't know. I don't know about this. I'm just gonna go with a black top today. Very simple. This is like what I imagine like a bit of a Hades outfit, you know? Sometimes I hate myself. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, please like and subscribe and comment and click a bell and follow me on 15 other platforms. And yeah, lots of love to you all. See you next time. Bye.